I'm just letting some people in. We are going live. This is, I'm sure, we're showing on Facebook, but also for people who have joined our Zoom meeting. Just bear with me for 1 minute here. Right. Hello. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Ligia or Ligia. Um, welcome. Welcome, guys. So, yeah, we're starting a little bit late today. How are we all? Can you hear me? Just want to make sure the
Yes.
volume's on. Okay, awesome, awesome.
Yes.
So, so yeah, thank you for joining. This is going to be held every fortnight, and it is really to it's not so much a webinar, but it's a live training session to help you guys really understand how you can use Visuals2Go, and also to get your feedback as well to see if there's any questions that you may have and how you can also support your clients or your students or your child. So thank you very much for joining. I might just share a little bit about myself if you're not familiar with who I am. So my name is Tony. So I'm the founder of Visuals2Go. I've been a special educator for quite a number of years, for probably 20 years or so. And now I'm also director of speaking therapy, running speech pathology and allied health services around Sydney, Australia. So Visuals2Go was founded in 2017. Um, Hold on a minute, just letting some people in. So yeah, in 2017, but prior to that, we have another app called Picture Card Maker, which was we kind of revamped it and made with lots of feedback, lots of trials, and this is where Visuals2Go is today. So it is more than just a communication app. It's actually, I would say, like a dashboard. So a dashboard for a lot of people with developmental disabilities, to navigate through life and also to communicate. So I might get a little bit just know that, guys. Oh, I actually didn't even record this. Sorry, just might have to record this. Before I record, I ask your permission. Are you okay? If you're okay for to record, then yeah, let me know. If you're not okay, then you can switch your volume off or switch your video off. That's completely up to you. But yeah, we will be recording these sessions and they will be shown to the public as well. So if you're going to I guess share information about students or clients, then probably best to not say their real names, okay? Just for privacy reasons. I'll just so I might get a little bit, I don't know, anyone here okay to show themselves? If not, that's totally okay. Just put in the chat box. Please use the chat box. If you have any questions or anything that yeah, that you would like help in, because these sessions are really for you. It is interactive, so I am going to show you my screen as well on how to use the Visuals2Go app. So yeah, I might ask you a question of I guess where you're tuning in from and what do you do? Are you a therapist or a parent? Please just put it in the chat box or in the comments below. Awesome. Thank you, Ligia for I will put my questions on the box. Awesome. Sorry, I didn't get that. Was the volume kind of broken up a little bit? But yeah, put it in the chat box. Please participate in these sessions. I'm here to help you. So today's going to be a topic on how do we help people who actually are verbal All right, so more to augment speech rather than be an alternative to speech. So how you can use Visuals2Go for verbal learners, however, their speech may be very difficult to understand. Um, or we got, I mean, I've worked with so many different clients with Visuals2Go for verbal clients, and I realized there's actually a whole range of different types of verbal clients. So you might be aware of. Let me see. Jennifer, your parent, awesome. Your behavior instructor, awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Um, so some verbal learners, I'll just give you some example, is you may have someone who is quite verbal, who loves to socialize, loves to talk, but their speech is just so difficult to understand. Um, yeah, and that makes it very difficult to participate in back and forth communication. And then you'll also have a lot of probably frustrations from the person and being very, and may even display behavior issues. So I'm sure maybe, Ligia, you probably witnessed some of that. Um, so Ligia, I use a lot of visuals because I work with nonverbal clients and I would like to know how to use visuals correctly. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to show you that today. So another type of verbal communicator is you might have someone who has fairly clear speech. All right, so fairly clear speech, but um, has difficulty, I guess, maintaining that back and forth communication. So that, that person might say, may only have one answer responses, like, how are you today? Good. And then that's it. Okay, then the conversation ends there. So, or you might be just trying to talk to them and they're quite verbal, but they just don't know how to respond. All right, so that's another type of client I've had. So there's a whole range. I'll just pull off my list here. Hold on a minute. I realize once I've been going through the type of clients that I might have. I realize there's a few that are verbal, but I use the app for different reasons, for different types of clients. So yeah, so you might have a client who has relatively clear speech but does not respond to my questions appropriately, or they often go off topic. So I don't know if you have someone like that in your life. Um, And then you might have someone who talks about themselves all the time. They're quite articulate, but is really not so interested in listening to others. So you may have someone like that as well. So I don't know. I might get some of your response. So I mean, this is not a full course on this. I may develop a course on this a bit later, but this is really to support you. So. The session will only go for about 1 hour at the maximum. Um, so if you have a specific type of client you would like, a person you'd like me to talk more about and how to use Visuals2Go for, please write that in the comment below. Let me see. Okay, great, Ligia. Yes, I have those clients as well, trying to get his responses. He's like pulling teeth, definitely, yes. So, I might go through then. I'll just share my screen. Um, Feel free if I'm going to, if I'm not making any sense, feel free to just say, help clarify, ask me to clarify anything. Um, Sorry, just bear with me. I'm just gonna share my screen here. All right, hopefully you can see my screen. All right, so which type of client, which sort of type of person should I talk about first? Um, Maybe I'll talk about someone who doesn't respond, like you're talking to them and they're verbal, they can understand kind of what you're saying, but they just don't respond appropriately, and they may often go off topic. So, I had a client who was like that, and from using Visuals2Go, he came from a place where, yeah, that's all he would say. How are you? Good, and that was it. So we did a lot of therapy around him and helping him have those back and forth communications. I must say the very first thing before you even, I think before you even focus on so much language building is really to establish that rapport with that person, right? You really need to take an interest in what they're interested in, because if you don't have that connection and rapport, they're really not going to talk to you, right? You could be really pulling your, you're doing everything you can trying to get them to respond to you, but if they're not interested in talking to you, they're not going to talk to you, right? So the very first thing I do is really get into the shoes, find out what they like or don't like, and just talk about those things, right? I might just follow their lead, or I might even ask the parent what they like, and I just talk about those topics. So for this client, I'm going to show you is I created a having conversations album.
Having conversations.
And again, this board grew over time. I started off with just, what did I start off with? I think simply on commenting, I think it was. I think it was just commenting,
Comments.
right? So I started on commenting, and I asked, I guess, how did I respond to certain things that I say? For instance, oh, I went to the shops. I had a haircut the other day, and then what can they respond with? So I'm really scaffolding certain types of responses that they may say. Things like, um,
Compliments.
that's a nice haircut.
That's a nice haircut.
You know, or anything that you would think that they may compliment for. So they're examples. Sorry, hold on a minute.
Having conversations.
Um,
Comments.
Exclamations.
Exclamations.
They say, wow.
Wow.
All right. Because some children when they have developmental disabilities, they wouldn't really know how to respond. Now, they're things that we need to teach. This boy could read, so hence it's all in writing, right? But you may have people who don't read, so then you can just put a visual attached to the writing. So what I do a lot in my therapy sessions is I simply type it in text first, and then I will pull off an image to relate to it. Um, Sorry, hold on a minute. Let me just go. So that's commenting. Oh, what happened to my screen? All right, here we go. Okay, so yeah, so these are like comment starters that I put in, compliments, exclamations,
Make connections.
make connections. This I had to explain to him what it meant. It's things that are related to interest, related to an activity. Echo,
Echo.
simply repeating what the person is saying. So I pull this off.
You.
You. So when I said to him things like, "Oh, I went to the, sh I went to the park the other day," so I would encourage him to say,
You.
repeat it, and he'll say, "You went to the park the other day," okay, and then he would encourage him to respond back to me. So I don't know if you have a student like this who would, who really need to be taught the type of language skills. There's actually a really good video that used to help me, which was found in YouTube. If you want a link to that YouTube to teach you how to comment or how to have conversations, I could definitely share that with you. Just let me know, okay? Yeah, I might forget. So, and getting to know
Getting to
someone.
know someone.
Um, this is very, very important, because if someone doesn't know you, they're not going to be able to ask questions about you, right? And it's the same with me. If I don't know that person, if I don't know that he likes like bowling, then I wouldn't know that I could ask him about bowling. So this is a really good activity, if you have a client, just to help him learn about you. If you're a parent, right? Tell him a bit about you, right? So like mum,
Mum.
you can say, hey, my favorite hobby,
Mum's favorite hobby was dancing, but now it's cooking.
right? That's what he responded with. So you could tell them about a bit about you. So you can say, I like cooking, and put that in, put those things in, because once a child knows about somebody, then you can teach them to ask about that. For me, it's like, I like table tennis sport. And then, so what I'll get him to do is like ask me questions such as, how was table tennis, right? Getting to ask questions back.
Dad.
So for dad, it's like dad likes to watch
Dad
cricket.
likes to watch cricket.
So you can put in the
Question.
questions. Oh, what can you ask about that? You know?
When is next cricket match?
Okay, so you're really trying to, break things down into into things that he can say. And you know what? From doing that, I'm telling you, this boy started to create his own questions that I don't even program. All right, so he's grew to a point where I had to teach, but now he was like able to generalize to different questions, different responses, and different comments. All right, so now we have this great back and forth communication, which lasts for the whole therapy session, whereas before we didn't. All right, so does that make sense, guys? Or just let me know if it doesn't make sense. Um, and if you liked me to talk a bit more, I don't know if this is a client that you may have, or if your child is like that, I'm not sure, but please let me know. All right, so that's for a verbal communicator who could read, who doesn't have back and forth communication. All right, and often goes off topic. Also, another thing you could do if it often
Having
goes off
conversations.
topic is really to teach these things here.
Conversation help.
Conversation help, uh,
Topics.
topics. All right, so you may want to talk about a topic that person is interested in. All right, so, and they may choose, what can we talk about today? Let's talk about,
My holiday.
oh, my holiday. So the image has disappeared because this was a backup and it didn't come up properly. But if you get the point here, if that does happen, by the way, if the image doesn't appear and you really need the app to have the image, use the sentence bar.
My holiday.
You do use the sentence bar and it would appear there. Another thing you can do is from here, you could also go into settings and switch on the sentence bar featured. So that's something else you can do. So what this does is it kind of makes people, it makes you, it makes the user to use the sentence bar. Because I had a child who just didn't want to use a sentence bar, which meant I couldn't expand on her sentences, right? She just keeps coming out, exiting the sentence bar, and then just pulling off the big visual because the big visual is very appealing, right? So I don't know if you have if the person in your care is just loving pulling off big visuals and you're finding it hard to use the sentence bar to expand those sentences. Sentence bar feature is great for that. All right, so having conversations
Having
again.
conversations.
So for instance, if I close that, if I close the sentence bar, I go to conversation help.
Conversation help.
Let's go to topics again.
Topics.
So choosing a different topic.
What happened on the weekend?
As you can see, it pulls off the sentence bar and I can actually now also enlarge it to whatever size I want it. So for that child that I worked with before, I had to use this big one. Okay, and you can rotate it. All right, so, and then I just close it and then I do it again. Reminders.
Reminders.
These are some reminders that boy I needed to help him with. Things like to stay on topic.
Stay on topic.
Listen.
Listen.
Look at the person.
Look at the person.
And face the person. Don't go off topic. And
ask questions and make comments.
Yeah, so they're just reminders to help him have that back and forth communication. So yeah, there's a lot more to it than that. But you know what? If you want that album, if this album is you maybe something that helps you, we can share that album. That album is actually available, available on our Academy website. So if you go to the Visuals2Go Academy, go to our website, visuals2go.com, you can access the members, and that album you can download as well for it. So if you'd like a copy of that, let me know. And you know what? Because you attended this webinar, I could just share it with you via email. All right.
Having conversations.
So that's for that type of client. All right. If you have a client who loves to socialize, I don't know, do you have, if who loves to socialize, but their speech is very, very difficult to understand, that you go, what on earth he's talking about? I don't know. Do you have someone like that that you work with, or um, um, if you do, let me know. So just also remember that these sessions, these training sessions on using Visuals2Go, it really doesn't replace the speech therapist, all right? Because speech pathologists, have done a lot of training. They're there to help them communicate. But, one thing for me, like I run a speech pathology clinic as well. So one thing is, my goal for the app is to really give them a voice, right? We don't want them to go through years and years. They may be doing speech therapy, but you know what? If they're not communicating with the people around them, it's very, it's heartbreaking. So they need a voice, children need a voice, people need a voice, everyone needs a voice, right? So we're here to give them as much words, vocabulary, sentences as possible to really, make them feel heard. There's nothing worse than going through life not being heard. And the truth is, if you're waiting for the speech pathologist to correct their speech, that might take a really long time, right? And they may lose that, as they get older, they may lose that even desire to communicate with somebody. So maybe their speech articulation down the years will get better. But you know what? That whole frustration and that confidence in communicating with somebody you've lost for so many years, and now you're trying to um, bring them back to communicate, to have connection with people. That's much more challenging, in my opinion. So that's why a tool like this is really helpful for you to now give them a voice now, help them to connect with people now, not later. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to someone. Um, so yes, for somebody who, sorry if I'm keep jumping around, but I do just have so much to share. I'm going to go now to maybe, let me see. All right, so this boy I used for someone who um, was very social, loves socializing, loves connecting people, but the speech is it's very difficult to understand. The best thing to do when you're in that situation is first, work with someone who knows that child. All right, so don't do it on your own if you're a therapist and try to work him out. I mean, sometimes I have to, but the best way is work with that person, work with that parent, work with the carer, work with the teacher, and because that person would have more chances of them understanding this child or this person than I am if I'm coming in new. All right, so this person here, um, I worked alongside. I was doing my session with them, and it was great that the teacher was there because the teacher was telling me, "Oh, he's saying this." I was like, "Oh, is he?" So he was saying like football. I was like, "What's football?" And then she told me it was football. All right, so he loved football. So that was great because it gave me a starting point, right? So
What?
in the What album, I would add things like that. I think it was activities.
Activities.
So he would tell me football,
Football.
right? So I would add the football, and then I would talk about the football. Um, and I was things like I would ask him, there are questions that you can ask that doesn't really require him to respond with like sentences. Things like, "Oh, did you play football on the weekend?" Yes, no, they're like very basic questions. But if you want to start to get more information about them around football, you really need to um, look at the who, what, where, when, why, and how questions, right? And that child needs to understand what they mean. I have a lot of children who don't know what they mean. I'll ask them, who did you go out with? And they'll be telling me like, oh, I bought a lolly. All right. So these need to be taught. And how do you teach it? Is I put them in separated into albums,
Who?
who did you go play football with? And then he'll be telling me
Mum.
like mum, or dad or brother, put the hoop. I really encourage you to take photos of people around their life, their brother, sister, take photos, put their names on it, cousins, friends, whoever it is, because you know what, they relate, that child relates to that person, and when they see it, they're more likely to converse, they're more likely to talk about them. If they said, mum,
Mum.
that's the mum play. Oh, and you can just respond and say, oh, did mum play football with you? Wow, did she, I don't know, did she tackle you? Just having this back and forth communication is just so important, so vital. Really, my aim in conversing with that child is on top of building this vocabulary for him to respond, is also really to build back and forth, build back and forth so that that person wants to talk to me or wants to communicate with me. All right. So, because that's what it's about. It's about emotionally connecting with somebody. Um, so you can go into
Where?
where did you play? Um, you know,
Home.
home, and you can add it, as you know more about that child, this will grow. They may have a destination that he plays football all the time, right? So you can put that in. I went to, whatever, Lane Cove Oval or something like that. All right. So you put those pictures in, and where is it? So what? I kind of
What?
added a lot of things about what, because there's so many things about what. What activities? What food did you eat? What food did you
Food and
like?
drink.
Um, what, this boy really loved his motorbikes, and then we just programmed things to different type of bikes he likes. So what do you want to play with?
Activities.
They might say
Lego.
Lego. What did you do on the weekend?
Play game.
Play games. So yeah, so this will grow, in time as you get to know more about that child. All right. Sorry, I don't know if I hope this is helping you guys. Just reading question. Jennifer, I have a son who's non-speaking and knows a lot of vocabulary. I'm curious to know how to support spontaneous language. I've been narrating everything I do. I'm starting to feel like I'm prompting my son too much. Any suggestions to help with this? Yes. Who is non-speaking. He knows a lot of vocabulary. Okay, so this is a non-verbal learner. Um, so he's narrating everything. So basically, probably repeating everything you're saying. Yes, I have a lot of work with a lot of those children as well. So this is probably a different session because this session is mainly for people who are speaking but I have done a lot of training on people who are non-speaking. But now that you're here, I might explain a bit about that as well. The very first thing when someone's non-speaking and just repeating what you're saying is the same principle in trying to get pay attention to what that person's interested in. Yeah, because you want them to, your goal is to really to make them interested in you and not the item. So you need to pay a lot of attention, have a lot of comment, and using a lot of your affect. We call it affect as in your the way you respond. So take it, but when you take a genuine interest in what they're interested in, um, then that is, they can sense that. So, like if you're building blocks and you knock it over and you go, oh no, wow, it just knocked over, lots of exaggeration because, people who with developmental disabilities, they really have a hard time understanding people, understanding especially the emotions. So a lot of yourself, you know, having those exaggerations would really help that person to connect with you. All right. So I would use the app for a lot of modeling, a lot of modeling as in, let me just pull off someone else's board as well. Sorry, probably can't. So that was, just use this one. Okay, so yes, so if you're just repeating, you probably need to teach them a lot of things, a lot of modeling, as in you use it, you model it. You might say
Food and drink.
things like, "Oh yeah, you're having a
Banana.
banana," but you want back and forth, so you need to create barriers, right? So barriers so that they have an opportunity to initiate something with you. Okay, so things like if you take a, if you had chips in your hand, and it's closed, so you might pretend that you don't know what they want. All right, so then you can teach them things like open, right? So I might swipe down and I go open. Do you want me to open?
Open.
I'll open the chips. Okay, open, and then you open it, and creating those barriers really helps. So I don't know the level of language for your child, but if you start from one words and then move on to sentences as well. So I want to open, then that's a good starting point. If you talk about when you play with things with him that are very motivating, like if that person likes cars, you play with the cars and you follow their lead and boom, 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 and then you create barriers such as, oh, what should I do? And then they'll say, go, oh, go, let's go, So this is what I do a lot in therapy. So does that make sense? I don't know because I don't really know your child, uh, but hopefully that's helping. So this is for someone, you want basically you want them to say communication. You want to teach them that communication is meaningful, is functional. So they're not just repeating everything you're saying, right? However, you don't want to stop them from doing that either. You want to teach them, right? Teach them different words, different skills, different phrases. So you use the app to really create phrases. So I might have an album for phrases, for instance. So I could show you how to do that now. So pencil icon, create album. So this is for someone who um might be at that level where they're communicating with sentences. So
Phrases.
phrases, you can do things like maybe just do yum, and you can go, that is yummy. And then just model that as well. So it's purposeful. So that if they're eating some ice cream or chips, you just model it and say,
That is yummy.
that is yummy. And because the more you do it, the more you model it, the more you comment, the chances are they'll probably, start learning what communication and words are actually meaning. Yeah. All right. Yes. Okay. Great. I'm glad that that makes sense. That's helpful, Jennifer. So, what else? Where was I up to? Where was I up to? Please feel free again. Have any questions about the use of Visuals2Go? If you're struggling with the functions, even, let me know as well. So again, like this app, honestly, like there's so many ways you can use it. It's not even just for communication, it's for learning as well. So I use this for any sort of, like I even teach the teachers. I show the teachers how you can give them a voice, um, how you can give them a voice during every single session that you are uh, doing, like whether it's science, maths. I think the worst thing is when you're just talking, when the teacher's just talking and the child is just like looking everywhere, like they're not paying attention. So, um, and they may not even understand what you're saying. So you want to, give them opportunities to respond. This is what I always say, opportunities to respond and opportunities to initiate, right? So for verbal learners, this is for verbal and non-verbal. You need, for every single person, they need opportunities to initiate and opportunities to respond, right? Initiate is things like, oh, asking, I want this, I want that, or, initiate could be, commenting as well. Oh, look, there's a plane. Um, what's the other one? Initiating, yeah. Opportunities is to respond, it's just responding to your question. How was your weekend? What did you do on your weekend? Who did you play with? So you want them to have those opportunities as much as you can throughout the day, right? Throughout the day and everything that you do. Yeah. Because, as someone who's verbal, we talk a lot, right? If you really count how many words and sentences we say in a day, it's a lot. So I think the question to you is how much are you giving opportunity for that person to talk or to communicate? And we really, it's probably a lot less than someone who is verbal. So we want to give them a lot of opportunities through using the app as much as we can, right? Okay, Ligia, after we model, should we wait for their response? That's a very good question. After we model, should we wait for their response? Yes, definitely. I would model it. But the thing that the answer to that is to ensure that they're not frustrated, right? It depends on and that depends on the individual. So, if a child gets frustrated very easily, I wouldn't wait for a response. I would just model it, and show them, oh, look, that's yum,
Fruit
very,
and
very
tree.
quickly model whatever,
Apple.
that's yum, apple. That child might be get frustrated, then you just exit straight away. But definitely for a lot of children, wait for the response. That's apple, and you can say, oh, what is that? And then they might just have apple as well. Some children I do physically prompt as well, because some children, they just they may need to just a slight physical prompt to tap on the picture or the image. And some children don't have an issue and some children do. So it really depends on that person. And you just got to play it, That's why knowing that child or person is very important. Know what they're, where you can push them, right? You want to make communication basically as less frustrating as possible because you really want to build that trust that they can, communicate with you. Some children that one of the boys that I worked with was like, I had to take slowly because some children or some people don't like people entering their space, right? And they don't like you to change the way they do things, right? So for you bringing in an iPad, or you trying to get in their face and play with them, they can get overwhelming from that, right? And they can get really overwhelmed. So sometimes you just need to take that little bit of step. You may be a bit of a distance in the beginning and then just comment, oh, wow, what are you doing? Very soft and gentle voice. But some children are okay with that, and you might use a lot more affect, a lot of more exaggeration. But I had a boy who had to take very lightly, and then, but in the end, you know what? He's now so comfortable with me. He'd let me in, he'd let me go into the albums, and telling me exactly what he wants. He wanted fruit, he wanted orange, he was selecting toys that he wanted to play, right? So. And yeah, and that grows once your connection grows, right? And another thing is, you're having verbal learners, really do consider teaching those core words. All right. So core words are
School
like
basic.
this. Core words are words that can really be generalized to lots of things, right? So chips is a fringe word. So chips can't be generalized. Um, but eat can. Now eat. I want to eat. So you want to put words in their albums where they can
School
practice using
basic.
a lot of core words so they can generalize it to a range of different things, right? And consider putting in phrases, like just phrases. So they're the two main things that I really focus on. Once they got that connection, once they can tell you things what they want. I put in core words, I put in phrases, just everyday phrases, that you think that would help them. Even phrases that are of rejection, phrases that are negative. I had a boy who just a lot of times didn't want me in their space. I put a word for leave me alone. Okay. And when we learned that, you know, that was communication. Instead of going, and then pushing me away, he said, leave me alone. All right. So, so there's social words that are also you can use for, or don't touch that. Just you want to put lots of words for them. And you know what? That boy, even though I introduced all these phrases, but because he trusted me now, that if he asked me to leave me alone, I will walk away. He trusted me that much now that he doesn't want me to go away anymore. I asked him the question, "Can I sit here?" And he'll say yes, right? So, and this was a verbal. He was verbal, but his speech was very. It was he didn't say much. Let's put it that he didn't say much. He needed the app to support his communication, right? Even though his articulation was clear, but he didn't have the words to actually say. So this app just gave him those words, for him to say things. Yeah. Um, is this app only in English? Yes, it is currently only in English, but we have version 2 that's coming up, and we're very excited about. It's going to be much more advanced than this version, and that will support multiple languages as well. There's so many things we can do with this new version. So please keep an eye out for that. We have been working on that for a while. It was proposed, to be honest, it was proposed to be completed by February, but as we know, technology and changes, because I needed it to be somewhat perfect, not perfect, but because it can never be perfect, but somewhat, somewhat perfect. That it's just I'm happy for it to be out. So we're proposing that version 2 will be out at the end of June, but I don't think that's going to happen, to be honest, because I asked for some more changes, which is yeah, I asked for a few more changes to the app, the development of it. So I'm guessing maybe in July, I'm guessing, but who knows? But that would support multiple languages. It would support easy access to core words and phrases, and it's actually got you don't really need to work it out, that one. You don't need to work out what core words to put in. It would have these ones for you. So it would have the same features as well, that the existing version has, such as downloading members' albums. Just know that I don't know if you are aware. I don't even know what app you've got. Do you have the paid version? Let me know if you've got the paid version or the free version. But the paid version now there's a lot of albums in here, and we do update these albums. If you want an album that we don't have, just simply request for it, tap on the green button and request, and then uh, more often than not, we'd be creating it and it would appear directly on the app. Um, so yeah, I don't know if you are interested in version 2, actually, we do have a very special promo, which I don't know, uh, honestly, how long it's gonna be there for. But at the moment, if you sign up to our Academy Prime, for the same price really as the app yearly subscription, you'll also get a yearly subscription of version 2. So it's probably the best way if you haven't subscribed yet the um, to the subscription of the Visuals2Go app, it's probably best to purchase it from our platform, which I'm going to show you right now. I don't know, did you want to know a little bit about the platform? If not, I'm going to take it as a yes, because there are also other people who probably would like to know more. Hold on a minute. I'm just going to share my screen with you. All right, so I'm just pulling off that website right now. Just sorry, bear with me. So, while I'm waiting, please, oops, feel free to ask me any questions because again, this is a platform for you. And know that these sessions will be running every fortnight. All right, so if you have more questions that you think of or um, attend every fortnight, we're going to have these live sessions for you. All right. Okay, so bear with me 1 minute. Just got to log in. All right. So there's no more questions. All right. I'm gonna go now straight to my share screen. Screens. I think it's this one. All right. All right. Hopefully you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Looks like you can't see my screen. Hold on a minute. Why is it paused? I don't want to pause it. Is it paused? Oh gosh. Okay, let me try again. Let me try that again. Okay, I think it works now. All right. So give me a thumbs up if you can see it. All right. So in this academy here, you can register, I guess, for the well, that's for you've already registered for it, the Zoom training sessions. But this platform I love. Why? Because it is really my place to share everything that I have and know. All right. So it is an additional thing to Visuals2Go app. Here you will find resources. So there are printable resources in here. This will grow. This will grow. I do apologize that I haven't grown it uh, lately, but I have decided to make a conscious effort now. I've got a team of people creating resources as well, so they're going to be uploading a lot of good stuff. This is answering the. This is someone I used for a nonverbal child who loved this song, Numbers. So. It's like I would sing the ants go marching, and then he would find the number, and then match it, and then I'll sing the rest of the song. Marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah. All right, so this really motivated the child to learn numbers. All right, so there's lots of things here that are so helpful that I've used, like patterns, and this is a now and next, first and then. These would go to the exact size of the printable visual on Visuals2Go app. So there's two sizes you can print off from the app, and the visual will go to a perfect fit for them. So that's good to download. And then my toilet book, if you want to teach toileting, I've used this with my daughter. So she loved it, and toileting was no longer a pain. All right. So this really helps, this toilet book. It's very interactive. So you can grab a copy of that as well. If you're a Prime member, okay. So I'm going to show you our very special offer at the moment. As again, $59.99 a year is the same price as the app. What you will get is a Visuals2Go's yearly subscription. So we'll send the code to you so you can get full access to the app for a year. You'll get Visuals2Go Next, which is version 2. And when it comes out, we'll send you we'll be able to activate so you get to use Visuals2Go Next as well for a whole year. So you get access to our courses, which is here. We'll be updating this as well. So there's modules, a deep dive. This is for advanced stuff. So this was a replay of the last session that I did. For Jennifer, this might be good for you. For autism level 3, building language and connection. So this is basically for someone who's more echolalic, repeating your words. So someone, yeah, to really learn how to build that connection. So that's a replay of it. You'll get access to gallery. So all the images on the app, you can now download it. So we're doing a whole series on Auslan visuals. If you're in Australia, this will be helpful for you. We do have plans if you're in America to do ASL as well, American Sign Language. That's in the process. All right, so you can download these and create resources of your own. That'll be in there. There's private community. So this will be on Facebook is a great place for you to just ask someone if they created a resource, a resource that that they would like to share, because there's so many people who have done stuff that has really blew my mind in. I'm like, wow, I didn't even think of this. People creating things that I love, getting ideas from. I learn from other people as much as people learn from me. So it's good to share your resources, right? What else is there? And there's codes. These are Visuals2Go album codes. So this was a literacy album on teaching phonics. Um, Having Conversation, that's the album I was talking about. Morning Circle album. Even recipe ideas, that's a really good one as well. Recipe ideas, so you can learn things like um, oh, I probably don't have a visual of that, but you can learn you can learn like ingredients needed. You can even reorder steps, teach sequencing around recipe ideas. So literacy album, I think I've got a video of what it's about, but I won't show you here. But yeah, so you can kind of grab a copy of that as well. So there's lots of things in that album. So anyway, this is a growing platform where this is because it's growing, it's fairly new. We do have a very special offer if you really like the app, this is a great supplement to the app. So subscribe from here and you'll get access to so much more, so many more things. Yeah. Um, you know what? I think that's about it for today because it's already, oh my. I think it's already time. Is that helpful, guys? Let me know. And you know what? If you want me to have a session of something different next fortnight, please let me know. Put in the chat box what you'd like me to share more about. And have a think about, some questions as well as you go through the week or fortnight. If you think, oh, how do I do this? Just write that down and you can bring it to the sessions and I'll be glad to go through it with you. All right. All right. Thank you so much, guys. It's 1 hour. It's almost 1 hour. So there's a lot to talk about. Hence, one session was really not enough. So we're doing a lot of fortnightly sessions and for you. And you know what? If you know someone who could benefit from these sessions, would like to learn more, share it. Just share the brochure on our Facebook page or our Facebook or our mailing or the flyer from our mailing list. So share it and hopefully I could help somebody through these sessions. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Jennifer and Lydia. Have a great day. Bless you. Bye.